All right, we are going to talk today about solving multilinear variable equations. Multilinear variable equations. That's a lot of information right there. Multivariable means many. You're going to have an x, a y, and a z. Not everything will have an x and a y and a z, but you could have up to 3 variables. Linear means all of your variables are to the first power. So we're not going to deal with anything squared or cubed or anything like that. Everything is going to be to the first power. We will get to a point where we start off with a set of linear equations like this. And we somehow algebraically move it into this, which is called row echelon form. But we're not going to do that today. What we're going to do today is learn how to solve using back substitution and to determine if something is a solution or not. So what are some things that we really need to focus on, right? These problems are not difficult. They really aren't. But there are some little tiny tricky things that could cause you guys some problems. The first thing I would suggest is that when you are given a system of equations, I would make sure that all of your x's are on top of each other, all of your y's are on top of each other, all of your z's are on top of each other. Then you have an equal sign and you have your constants. That's what I would do. I would also, you're going to have some on your homework, I think, and some on your quiz probably, where maybe one equation has an x and a z, but it doesn't have a y. That doesn't mean there's one y. That means there's no y's or 0. So write down 0y or 0z or whatever. So you have placeholders for everything. I think that's probably a good idea. Right? Everybody understand that? When you write your answer, when we had an x and a y value, we wrote our answer as an ordered pair. It was like x, comma, y, right? Well, now we're going to have 3 variables, so we'll have our answer written, and it's called an ordered triple. You have your x value, your y value, your z value. It goes in alphabetical order. So if your ordered triple, say your answer turns out to be 1, 2, 3. That means the x value you found was 1, the y value you found was 2, and the z value is 3. So writing your answer like that, and then if somebody wrote it like this, those two things are not the same, right? You can't just randomly put the numbers in whatever order you want and just say, well, I had the 3. It has to be in the right spot. So you have to have your x value that you found first, the y value second, the z value third. Okay, so 2 things we're going to talk about today. Solving when it's in row echelon form. It's called like a stair-step pattern. If I gave you guys this problem and did not explain anything to you, I think most of you could solve this. How would you solve this to find out what x equals, y equals, and z equals?
Could you just put like holders?
You could put in holders, yep. You could put in like 0x here. You could put in 0x, 0y, good. Then what would I do? Plug in what?
The ordered pair.
Not the ordered pair. What do I know for a fact? I know that z equals 2. So how could I use that information to find out what another variable equals?
Plug in for z.
I could plug it in right there, right? And then once I do that, what do I find out what equals? I found out what y equals. Then what could I do with that information? I could plug in my y there, my z there, and figure out what x equals, right? That's called back substitution. You're working backwards. It's in kind of a stair-step pattern, 3, 2, 1, that sort of thing. Now, when you go to solve, guys, this variable right here, it doesn't always have to be z. It could be x or y, whatever. It has to be positive, right? And the leading coefficient needs to be 1. So if there was like a 2 in front of that, you would divide both sides by 2 and get z equals 1.
Wait, so z has to be 1?
Whatever the variable is, that's by itself. It has to be a positive 1. So you want it to say either z equals or x equals. I'll show you some examples. But like if it said 2z equals 4, how would you solve that to find out what z is? You would divide both sides by 2. So you'd get z equals 2. And then you could go plug in. You always want one variable by itself, positive, with 1 as the coefficient. Now, once you get your answer, what can you do to make sure that you're right? You can plug it back in. Take 2 seconds, plug it back in. Because, guys, these questions aren't terribly difficult. But if you miss one negative sign, and you tell me that x is 1 when it should have been -1, well, that's going to really mess up the entire problem. So just take your time. I would tell you to check your answers. So you're going to have a couple questions that are written like this in row echelon stair-step form. And it says solve using back substitution. Then you're going to have some where I give you the equations and you have to tell me if the ordered triple is a solution or not. We're going to talk about that in a second. Fractions are fair game. You should not get a really gross fraction, but you might get 3/2, 1/3, something like that. You might have to use fractions, but you won't get anything like -923 over 117 or something like that. Okay, sound good? All right, I'm going to change the order after I do this problem. I'm going to change the order of the notes. I'm going to do the solving first and then go back to the other one. So you'll just see that in the video. But again, if I have this question, it says solve the system. My answer should be written as x, comma y, comma z, right? You got to get to that point. If you just leave random x equals y equals z equals and you don't tell me in an ordered triple form, I'm going to take points off. So the way that you would show me your work, guys, I'm going to say, okay, look, I know what z is. I'm going to plug it in right here. So y plus 4z equals 7. I'm going to plug in 2. So y plus 4 times 2 equals 7. Y plus 8 equals 7. Subtract 8 from both sides. And y equals -1. Agreed? Okay. Fair enough. Now I'm going to take the top equation, x minus 2y plus 3z equals 9. I always rewrite the equation that I'm going to use just because, like in this case, notice y is negative. But in the equation, it's negative. So some of you are going to want to skip steps and say, oh, 2 negatives make a positive. Again, I don't think it's a good idea to skip any little steps because any tiny mistake will make a big deal. So I'm going to say x minus 2 times y is -1 plus 3 times 2 equals 9. Now, if my equations weren't written x, y, and z, I personally would rewrite them because you don't want to make a silly mistake. But -2 times -1 is x plus 2 plus 3 times 2 is 6 equals 9. 2 plus 6 is 8. So x plus 8 equals 9. I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides, and I get x equals what? 1. How do I write my answer?
1, comma, -1, comma, 2.
Perfect. 1, comma, -1, comma, 2. Everybody see that? Questions?
So always rewrite the equation.
I would. That's just me, though. That's just kind of helps keep everything in order. All right, now again, I'm skipping to the solving at the end. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but I'm skipping to the solving. So it says solve using back substitution. Write your answer as an ordered triple. That means x, comma, y, comma, z. So I know, guys, right off the bat, I don't have to do anything. I know that z equals what number? 8. So I'm going to say, okay, y plus 2z equals 6. Plug in 8. So y plus 2 times 8 equals 6. Y plus 16 equals 6. Subtract 16 from both sides, and y equals what? -10. Good. So now I know what y and z are. I can figure out what x is. So 2x minus y plus 5z equals 24. So 2x, we don't know what x is, minus y, so minus a -10, plus 5 times 8 equals 24. 2x minus a negative is plus 10, great. 5 times 8 is 40 equals 24, good. So I have 2x plus 50 equals 24. Subtract what? Subtract 50 from both sides. 2x equals -26. So what does x equal? X equals -13. Good. So x is -13. So how do I write my answer? -13, -10, positive what? 8. Now, if I was like, oh, I just want to super duper make sure I'm right, what could I do with those three answers? Plug it back in. Plug it back into the top one, see if all three work. Question. All right, how's this one a tad bit different?
Because it's not z by itself.
It's not just z by itself, right? I needed to say z equals, or x equals, or y equals, just one letter by itself, positive, with a coefficient of 1. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4 here. And I found out that z equals what? 3. Okay, good. Now I'm going to take that, and I'm going to put it right there. So I'm going to plug it into the negative 2y plus 3z equals 1 equation. Negative 2y plus 3 times 3 equals 1. Negative 2y plus 9 equals 1. Subtract 9 from both sides, correct? So negative 2y equals negative 8. What does y equal? Y equals positive 4. Good. Now I know what z and y are. Let's figure out what x is. So I'm going to use the top one. 7x plus 2y plus 2z equals 21. So 7x, I don't know what x is, plus 2 times y is 4, plus 2 times 3 is 6, 21. So I have 2 times 4 is 8, plus 2 times 3 is 6 equals 21. 7x plus 14 equals 21, right? Add the 8 and 6. I'm going to subtract 14 from both sides. So 7x equals 7. What's x equal?
1.
X equals 1. Now, if you left your answer like this, say this is a 20-point question, because, it's a little involved, I'd take off at least 5 points, because your answer needs to be written as an ordered triple. Your x value, your y value, and your z value. You see that? All right, let's look at 6. How's 6 a little different?
There's a negative z.
I have a negative z. Guys, very easily you could say, oh, okay, z equals negative 2. And then you plug in negative 2 for z. You'll get an answer for y. Then when you plug those two back in, you'll get an answer for x. But will it be the correct answer? No. So that's why I tell you, when you're solving these, the best thing to do is when you get to the end and you get your ordered triple, plug it into the top one to make sure it works. But here I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1. And I get z is actually what value?
2.
Z equals 2. Good. So we're going to take that and put it right there. So y plus 6z equals negative 1. Y plus 6 times 2 equals negative 1. Y plus 12 equals negative 1. Subtract 12. And y equals negative 13. Good. Very good. So now I know what z is. I know what y is. I'm going to take those two values and plug it into the top equation. So x minus 2y plus z equals 4. I don't know what x is, but minus 2 times y is negative 13 plus z is 2 equals 4. Negative times a negative is a. So plus 26 plus 2 equals 4. What's 26 and 2? So x plus 28 equals 4. Subtract 28 from both sides. And what does x equal? Negative 24. So your answer would be negative 24, negative 13, positive 2. Is that okay to get big numbers like that? Sure. Could you get a fraction?
Yeah.
Sure. Could you change it to a decimal? Sure.
Is an example like there's like a fraction or something?
I'm sure I have one somewhere. But yeah, you might get a fraction. Questions? All right, the other type question that you guys are going to encounter is something like this. All right, they gave you the 3 equations, and they gave you an ordered triple. You have to say, yes, this works, no, it doesn't.
You just plug in.
You plug in. Now, guys, you have to be careful because there are situations, happens more often than not, where you plug in and it works. The solution works in 2 of the equations, but not all 3. It has to work in all 3. So don't just plug it into the first equation, and be like, oh, it's fine. You have to plug into all 3 to make sure. But your answer to this question is a yes or no. But you have to show all of the work. And I'll show you what I'm expecting to see for the work. Because I know a lot of this you can do in your head. I don't want it in your head. What I'm going to caution you is the first thing you need to do is make sure your x's are on top of x's, y's on top of y, z's on top of z. If it's not, there's two things you can do. You can either A, rewrite it like that, or B, just make a note so when you go to plug in your x value, your y value, and your z value, you put them in the right spot. Because what could happen is that, say that first problem went z, then y, then x. If you're not paying attention, you'll plug in the wrong value for the wrong variable, and then you won't get the answer correct. So just make sure. So I'm just saying pay attention. So what I would like to see is, okay, look, I'm going to see if this first equation is satisfied with the order triple that they gave me. So I'm going to say x is 1, so I'm going to say 1, y is 0, so minus 3 times 0 plus 2. Does that equal 3? That is what I am trying to prove here. Now, that's pretty much all I need to see. You guys can go through and simplify. I have 1. What's negative 3 times 0? It cancels out, right? So plus 2. Does that equal 3?
Yes.
What's 1 plus 2?
3.
Does 3 equal 3?
Yes.
So that one works. Good. Can I just now go, oh, okay, this one's fine?
No.
No. I have to now plug into the next equation all three variables, all three values, and see if it works or not. So x is 1, 2 times 1, plus y is 0, right? And then our z, in this case, excuse me, is 2. I need to substitute in those values to see if it makes the equation true. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus 0. Do I need to write that? No, so negative 5 and 2 is minus 10. Does that equal 8? What is 2 minus 10? Should be negative. Sorry. What's 2 minus 10? Negative 8. Does negative 8 equal negative 8? Yes. Okay, good. Let's do the last one. X minus y plus 3z equals 7. So again, x was 1 minus 0 plus 3 times 2 equals 7. 1 minus 0 is just 1, plus 3 times 2 is 6 equals 7. Does 7 equal 7?
Yes.
So the answer to this question, is the given ordered triple a solution? You would say yes. That yes or that no means absolutely nothing if you don't show the work, that you proved it. Not just, oh, I did it in my head. Yes, sir.
Suppose if there was like no like x or y, and just like 3z equals 7, could you just like put like, if they give you like the work pair, can you just plug in that c or no?
You can only plug in for whatever value they gave you. So like in that, yes, in that case, if it just said 3 is equals 7, then you would just plug in the 2 where the z is, because it's in the z part of the ordered triple,
Gotcha.
wherever it corresponds. All right, let's verify. Let's check. Number 2. My x value is negative 3. My y value is 1. And my z value is 6. Again, you don't make sure either all of them are in the same order, or you pay attention that I have to put x value for x, y for y. If it's not written in standard form, I would rewrite it, but if you don't, just make sure you don't make any silly mistakes. So I'm going to check the first one. 4x plus 8y plus z equals 2. So I'm going to plug in negative 3. So 4 times negative 3 plus 8 times 1 plus 6. Does that equal 2? What's 4 times negative 3?
Negative 12.
Negative 12 plus 8 plus 6. Does that equal 2? What's negative 12 plus 8?
Negative 12
Oh,
All right, so negative 12 plus 8 is what?
oh, that's negative 4.
Negative 12 plus 8, right? Negative 4
Negative 4.
plus 6. And then what's negative 4 plus 6?
That's positive 2.
Does 2 equal 2? Yes. Guys, you always want to do order of operations. I know that 8 plus 6 is 14, and then negative 12 and 14. But always do order of operations. So we're good there. First one. All right, second one. I have x plus 7y minus 3z equals negative 14. So I have negative 3 for my x. What was y? 1?
Yeah.
And then 3 times 6. Does that equal negative 14? Negative 3 plus 7 minus 18. Does that equal negative 14? What's negative 3 plus 7? Positive 4 minus 18. What's 4 minus 18?
Negative 14.
Does negative 14 equal negative 14? Yep. All right, can I just go, yeah, this probably works. Correct. You guys say, yeah, it probably works, and you guessed right. That's great. You're getting points off because you didn't prove that all three work. So I have 2x minus 3y plus 2z equals 3. Make sure I rewrote it correctly. Right, the ordered triple is negative 3, 1, 6. So 2 times negative 3 minus 3 times 1 plus 2 times 6. Does that equal 3? What's 2 times negative 3? Negative 6 minus 3 plus 12. Does that equal 3? What's negative 6 minus 3?
Negative 9.
Negative 9 plus 12 is what?
Positive 3.
Does 3 equal 3?
Mm-hmm.
So my answer to this question is
Yes.
yes.
Did you put this if there is a solution? Or, yeah.
Yes, that works. Again, are they all going to work? No. Don't just assume that they are. All right, you might get a version on your quiz where you have 3 of these questions and all 3 of them don't work. Don't second guess yourself. My suggestion to you is as soon as you get something that doesn't work, I would recheck just to make sure you didn't make any mistakes. As soon as one of them doesn't work, you can stop. So here, this is my x, this is my y, this is my z. Somebody asked me last period, what if I start with the bottom one? That's fine. I don't care what. You guys have to check all 3. It has to work in all 3. It doesn't matter. You want to start with the bottom one, start with the bottom one. I just always go in order of everything. So x minus y plus z equals 2. So x is negative 4 minus a negative 3 plus 4. Does that equal 2? Negative 4 plus 3 plus 4. What's negative 4 plus 3? Negative 1 plus 4 is what?
3.
I know this sounds silly, but actually write it out. It says 3 equals 2. Is that true?
No.
No. Right there, you could say, oh, this is not a solution.
No solution.
You can write, it's not. That ordered triple is not a solution. It's not that there's no solution. That's just not the one for it. I'm going to continue and go through just to make sure I didn't make a mistake. You can go back and look at your work and see if you made a mistake. But there can be instances, guys, where you plug numbers in and it works in 2 of the equations, but not in the third one. Or it works in one of them, but not the other 2. That means it's no solution, or that it's not the solution for that problem. So here I have negative 8 plus 3 minus 4. Does it equal negative 6? What's negative 8 plus 3? Negative 5. Does negative 9 equal negative 6? No. All right, you want to check the last one just to be super sure? Perfect. 2x plus 2y plus z equals negative 3. What was it again? Negative 4, negative 3, 4. So 2 times negative 4 plus 2 times negative 3 plus 4 equals negative 3. So negative 8 minus 6 plus 4 equals negative 3. What's negative 8 minus 6? Negative 14 plus 4. What is negative 14 plus 4? Negative 10. Does that equal negative 3? No. You guys understand? Yeah? So your homework tonight, all right, which I'm going to go over tomorrow with you in its entirety just to make sure we're on the same page. You guys have 2 different types of questions. You have questions that are written in row echelon, that little stair-step formula. We're going to use back substitution and tell me what the ordered pair is. And then you have some where you're practicing, is this a solution? And you have to plug in to all 3 to tell me yes it is or no it's not. Yes, ma'am? Okay. All right, we're good? Okay.